Bodybuilding with a purpose. We are building our bodies, minds, and spirit to achieve a level of holistic growth. It's not about aesthetics and looking good. That's just a byproduct of the intrinsic attention we give ourselves, overcoming all challenges in pursuit of our greatest desire. Bodybuilding with a purpose. Right. I just wanted to go. You highlighted your military life, right?
Okay.
And I feel like I would do no justice if we don't talk about that. So you say you started ShiftEQ. Everything actually kicked off during the COVID time frame, right? Were you still in the military around that time frame?
Oh, no. I was out for so I got out in 2018. At the end of 2018. Okay. Yeah. So it was a couple of years after that. Yeah. Whew. No way, man. No way.
Okay. That was the question I was about to ask, right? Like, how were you able to navigate this, while being in the military? But it's still the same question, like, knowing what you know now, if you were to go back to let's say, even if you were to go back, right, before the military, in the military, how would you apply what you know now to make a different decisions?
Ooh, I know this is gonna sound crazy, but I don't think I'd tell my younger version anything else other than do what you've already done. I wouldn't have the perspective that I have now had I not gone through the adversities that I have gone through, whether it's being deployed or being divorced or going through being suicidal, having to being withdrawn from my kids, all of these moments that, although people would kind of view as a negative thing or view as a challenging thing, and mind you, it is challenging as hell, these things that I'm speaking of. But the perspective that I have and how I have it carry out and dictate in my areas of my life, I wouldn't trade it for the world. Now, I mean, obviously there's still a lot of work to be done. There's always work to be done. I'd be lying if I said like my relationship with my children are the best. It's still a work in progress. But the opportunities that they're set up to have, the life that they were able to have, even though I wasn't there for a lot of different things, whether it's military or assignments or anything else, but I get to learn from those moments. And it's, hey, I get it. It's part of the sacrifice sometimes that you got to learn, but I would not trade one moment for the world. That's for sure.
Wow. I love the way you think. I love your perspective. This right here is definitely an evidence of ShiftEQ material, simple and short, right? Because when I ask people this question, like, if I had to go back, maybe I wouldn't have joined the military. Maybe I wouldn't have done this. This is the first time someone told me I wouldn't change anything because everything happened for me to be here. It's really refreshing to hear that, right? To see that perspective right there. And, one of the other questions is, okay, after you because like you say, it's not easy. And one of this
Oh my God, it's not.
Yesterday, I was having a one of the guys I work with, I was like, listen, man, it's not easy being great. Because at that moment, right? At that moment, I'm getting ready for my competition and everything. And I wanted to go to the gym, and it's one of those days I'm like, man, I really, really would just love to sit on this couch and just, but I was like, you know what? It's not easy to be great. And I went to the gym, right? So my question to you is, as you are evolving every single day, how do you overcome the challenges that life throws at you? Because trust me, I know there are moments where you're like, woo, come on, man, can I get a break? Right? But how are you able to overcome all those challenges?
I think it's always about perspective. There's, and that perspective is that life is going to always have challenges, no matter where the hell you are in life. I always reference this, and I always will, because it's just a lesson that I always remind myself on, which is, have you read the book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck?
No, people have told me about it.
Okay. Well, there's a segment in there where he highlights, I'm going to make two examples of this. The one that he highlights is, the bum on the street corner has money problems, right? You know who also has money problems is Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett also has money problems. right? But the difference is Warren Buffett has better money problems. So the goal isn't that
Yes.
the goal of life isn't the fact that are never going to have challenges or not have any problems. Just make sure that the challenges and the problems are worth it. And it's just
Mm.
like it's just like what's the word I'm looking for? Nope, that just escaped me. But like for example, sorry. So the other example I was going to make, especially as it pertains to like bodybuilding, is that
Yes.
we have challenges as competitors. We have challenges to how am I going to taper out this carb? How am I going to bring out this one oblique? Or how am I going to bring out this one thing? Right. So that's our problem. That's
Mm-hmm.
our challenge.
Yes.
But there's other
Yes.
people who are like the 70+% people that are obese, or the people that don't even have any kind of regimen. They have a problem with even having structure. So, and I would argue that I would much rather be the competitor that has the challenge of bringing out a certain aspect than the challenge of not
Absolutely.
having anything. And so,
Yes.
it's just getting used to the fact that pursuing a life worth having is going to have challenges worth overcoming, and I think that's just where it
Yes.
is.
Wow, wow. No, thank you very much for that. I really definitely had to ask that because, as we coach and mentor people, one of the expectation is, oh, I overcome this challenge. I'm good. Life is good. You know what I'm saying, right? Oh, I won my pro card. Boom, I'm the best bodybuilder in the world, or whatever the case may be, right? And the example you gave is a perfect one, the bomb on the corner and Warren Buffett, right? And I'll give an example of my own life real quick before I go. But it was like, this week I was having issues with my tenants, this, that. And for a moment, I was going to be consumed by that thought. I was like, man, why me? But I snapped out of it. I was like, wait a minute. 2 years ago, you didn't even have a place to stay. Now you're having tenant problem. 2 years ago, you were having like problem to even find a place to rent for yourself. Come on, man, snap out of
Right.
it immediately, right? And I love that comparison right there. I love it. I love it. Woo, Alan,
Yeah.
this has been really different, man. No, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go
Well,
ahead.
I mean, no, just to add on to that, it's just like kind of how we're programmed as human beings. We always look at what we don't have, and we amplify, the 5% that we don't have, not looking at the 95% that we do. And it's interesting we just like, oh my God, we don't have this. Like, what?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't have more storage on my iPhone for more pictures. Like the world's gonna end. Like, bro,
Yes. Yes.
is that a real like first world problem, or is that even a privileged first world problem? And that's kind of what we sometimes need to get into. And just kind of what you said, when things happen, you have an opportunity. Am I going to sit there and be like, am I a victim? Why me? Why that? Like,
Yes.
if you
Yes.
constantly stay in that mindset, you're going to paralyze yourself. But if you kind of like,
Yes.
all right, well, here we go again, we got to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes with a lot of training. I think, although the military was challenging, it definitely taught you like you're either mission ready or you're not. You're either going to get ready to get deployed or you're not. And
Yes.
if you're not, you're going to be ready
Yes.
regardless. And it's
Yes.
having a lot of absolute deadlines that are very black and white that, you just realize, hey, it's another challenge. It's your mindset about that challenge that matters more than it is the challenge
Yes.
itself.
Yes, yes, that is true. That is true right there. And like you said, at the end of the day, especially in the military, is gonna be done or not. I mean, actually, there's no or not. It will be done. you know, and
Yeah.
I think that all comes from expectation, right? People expect stuff and then they get disappointment. But my next question and the purpose for this interview, right? We call it bodybuilding with a purpose, right?
Oh
Because
yeah, that's right. We're talking about bodybuilding. That's right. Yeah, that's the podcast we're doing. That's right. Shoot.
Listen, man. But this is fun because the energy, the flow, right? And it's like, wait a minute, okay, yeah, we're talking about bodybuilding with a purpose, but everything definitely has been amazing. The answers, your life, to just see the growth and transcendence that occurs in your life, right? I definitely checked out, Shift EQ, majority of your podcasts, everything. And one, similar pattern I definitely see is bodybuilders on there, right? You interview like great bodybuilders, pros, different everyone and different organizations too. You don't just stick to just one organization. I would say majority of them are definitely. I mean, if not, but more than 90% of them are natural.
Mm-hmm.
I probably say all of them are natural bodybuilders. But the point is this, right? Out of all the niche you could pick, to like interview people, let me put it that way, to interview people to do whatnot. Why bodybuilding? Is it because you competed in bodybuilding, or you're like, let's approach this with a different purpose, with a different mindset?
Yeah.
Because that is how we met.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you asked that question, because so right now it's interviewing natural bodybuilders, right?
Yes.
But
yes.
all right, so let me actually take this back. So ShiftEQ is all about creating a better version of yourself, owning your adversities, owning your triggers, owning everything that is about yourself and creating a better version of it, right? And so, all of it is highlighting towards things that I've experienced. So like the last 2 years has been bodybuilders, because bodybuilding has been the main everything, a little bit before and before I got into bodybuilding in its entirety, I if you look at the interviews, it's a lot of people that are doing the self work, the inner, whatever it is for them. I had guests on that were talking about cognitive dissonance and talking about relationships and how men needed to invest in themselves, find more confidence. I had a woman who is a relationship counselor who found, I know this is very LA, California specific, but she is a leader in the polyamory community, and there's a lot of people that were polyamory. Like, again, I don't care what your thoughts are on it, but there's enough group of people that want to express themselves in that dynamic. And so it was interesting to get perspective. Now, how it fell into bodybuilding is just right now, again, it's just the sport that I'm in right now. It's the community that I love. And kind of what I said earlier, it's examples of people doing things to invest in themselves, whether it's eating better, working out, achieving a higher version of themselves. These are all principles that I think that people should be inspired to do. And so it's like, what better way to encompass all of these things than it is to natural bodybuilding, especially when I'm immersed in the sport at the moment,
Yes. No, that is beautiful. That right there give the purpose to bodybuilding, like you said. For us, we call it, the holistic health. Mental, physical, emotional. That right there is the best, greatest combination of work you could ever do, for yourself.
Right. Especially in bodybuilding, because it's like, think about all the physical astringent adversities we put ourselves through, where, it's taxing our hormones, taxing our diet, taxing ourselves from social events, and completely withdrawing from things that we've known to be culture and to be society, all for this pursuit of this one moment on stage. And it doesn't even last very long,
No,
it's not. And here's the reality of natural bodybuilding right now, there isn't enough money in it. So it's like, what's a $500 check compared to the crap that you put your body through to that moment? And so it's interesting, because every single natural bodybuilder that I've ever talked to, and every bodybuilder, doesn't matter if you're natural or not, there's something on the other side of your training that although like this stuff might be challenging, like eating just rice and chicken for the next 8 months is going to be crap. The other side of what you want outweighs the resistance that you feel in the moment. And it's figuring out what that is for people and where that got inspired from. That definitely makes our community so damn amazing.
Yes, you're absolutely right. It's definitely, it starts from the internal, right? Like one of the saying we say is, your external environment is a reflection of your internal, right? Within, whatever is going on within you. And like you said, for bodybuilders, natural bodybuilders especially, I mean, geez, what you put yourself through, right? It take that mental discipline. But a lot of people now, with that mental discipline, we got to control the emotional, or work on the emotional part of it and everything. And you're doing an amazing job, interviewing all these athletes, sharing people's story to inspire everyone around the world. That is truly amazing and inspiring. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Are you getting ready for any show lately, or like what's coming up next for you?
Yeah. So my next show is next June at the Florida Pro. It was, I went to the Florida Pro earlier in June. and the community, it was the first time I felt the natural bodybuilding community all come together for a singular event. And just the vibe, the feel, the family aspect. I decided to then compete in that. But what I'm doing up until that is I actually have, so my coach, Science and Gains, Chris, big shout out to him. We're actually podcasting my journey up into that show day. So the purpose of that, though, is to inspire people that aren't into competitive bodybuilding, that aren't into, 100% competing yet, and then into hopefully inspiring them to show that, hey, if you just, create a little bit of better habits, if you tweak a couple of these things, it's very possible to actually for you to get up on stage. And, and that's all it is, to inspire people to at least compete once. And if not compete, at the very least, find a way to have better habits, adopt the mindset that a lot of us have to get ready towards competition and apply it to their everyday lives. And that's kind of what the whole series is tailored towards.
No, that is good. That is, I mean, in all honesty, that is what us at the Royal Family, what we do right here, just like that. Like you said, inspire people, because for me, our actual philosophy, right, the way we look at it, you can't just focus on, there are three pillars, right, that make you really, really strong and unbreakable, right? The mental, physical, and then, the emotional, right? And those pillars, you can't just focus on one. I mean, emotional, spiritual kind of fall under the same, right? You can't just focus on spiritual and neglect those two, right? You can't just focus on physical and neglect the rest. And, for us who feel like bodybuilding is an avenue, is a way, you're able to work on all three. Because during peak week, I mean, you've been through it. During peak week, for me, I call it spiritual week, right?
Yeah, you're harvesting some spirits, all right. That's for sure.
Listen, man. It's just your energy. I'm like, that peak week is like spiritual week for me, right? Like, so again, to be able to do all that, man, like you said, document your journey all the way to the stage next June. Send us the invitation. Let us know. You know how we are at every venue. We'll definitely be cheering loud for you.
Yeah, you guys are a phenomenal vibe. That's for sure. That's for sure. Like, because I told Saya, and I know you saw that, I came there to support my boy Michael, and then saw you guys. They ran into you guys just incidentally, right? And it was just a very, very enlightening experience to be around you guys and the family dynamic that you guys bring.
Yes. I mean, that is true. Thank you very much for that. I mean, we still do that, and that's why we call everyone family. We hug. The love is genuine. It's not malicious or nothing. It's genuine love for everyone, for one another, and that's what we try to spread out everywhere we go. You don't even have to be part of the family. We cheer for almost everyone and anyone. Like, hey, you're doing great and whatnot. That is the purpose right there. Bodybuilding with a purpose. So this has been really fun. I've had a great time interviewing you. Man, is I love the flow again, the energy. And before we go, I really have to ask, because you've definitely done so much, personal development on your end to be able to do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what is one book that you've read that is, your top favorite book? Just give me two.
Top favorite book.
Yeah.
All right. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. The Subtle Art of Not Giving Up, for sure. Right. That is a good one. It'd have to be one of two of Tim Grover's books. So Tim Grover is the trainer of Michael Jordan, and he has a book. He has two books. One is called Winning, and I believe the other one is called Resilience, or I keep on Relentless. Yes. Those. Oh, you have it. You have it behind there.
Right here.
Bro, I love Tim Grover, the way, and you could tell that anyone can get people physically ready towards what they, towards like a basketball game or anything. That's why these teams have these elite trainers. But the mindset that Tim Grover has with his athletes, and it's crazy, because you see The Last Dance and you see Michael Jordan taking everything personal. He creates this crazy narrative, but look at the results that the guy has created. And it makes you really, for me, I'd be denying that if I didn't have some kind of intrinsic psychotic thoughts for things that I want in life or things that I want to achieve, things that I want to drive. And reading his books made me accept that there's other crazy people in this world that want to get ahead and will do anything to get there. And it definitely, it's nice to kind of put those crazy feelings and thoughts into words and have it understandable for myself. And, you know, it's kind of, Tim Grover said it best, man. And in order to have what you really want, you have to be who you really are. And it just talks about just be who the hell you are, own it, and just, you know, but at the end of the day, also make sure that it's all about results, you know, and just win, and it does not matter. And it's I love it. I love it. That's for sure.
Oh man, thank you very much for sharing. I'm definitely gonna check out that book. The first one you mentioned, the subtitle, the art of
the subtle art of not giving an F word. Yeah,
yeah. That I'll check it out. But listen, man, during my personal development process, definitely that book is top right there. It changed everything. The closer, the cleaner, the mentality right there. I'm like, okay, man, like which one do you want to be? Right? Like you want to be the cleaner, like everything, you know. Like you said, man, just owning who you are, right? Who you are, and just because, especially, man, let me just share real quick, man. Especially being in the military, I've been in the Marines, for instance, right? So it's like sometimes you have to wear this persona, right, to be able to do some stuff, right? And while I was doing that, there's just this conflict, man. Like, okay, this is not who I am. Like, but why do I gotta wear these, you know? And then when I switch and like, listen, man, there's no two, it's me. On or off duty, this is me. Like the results are just out of this world and phenomenal. So yeah, man, I love that part, man. I do.
Yeah, appreciate that. Appreciate it.
Wow. Well, we're gonna run this up, but before we run this up, where and how can people check you out? You know, just give us your information, share information with us.
Yeah. I'm for social media, I'm mainly just on Instagram, ShiftEQ.podcast. And then on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, it's the ShiftEQ Podcast with Alan K. And so I have every new episodes every week. Every Saturday is what we changed to because of football. Hoorah. And that's where you can find me. That's for sure.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you very much for sharing that. And thank you for your time. Definitely we have to do this again. We definitely have to do this
I'm more than down. Yeah. As soon as you hit me up about it, like, hey, do you want a podcast? Yes, absolutely. I'm 100% down to be on a podcast. Always, man. Always.
Yes. Thank you again, man. I really appreciate it. And with this, we'll sign out. Thank you. Thank you very much for sticking to the end and watching this. Just go ahead and do me a quick favor. Click on the subscribe button right now.